From Russia losing old friends to the US making new ones. Let's turn our attention to Southeast Asia. It seems the US plans to send its jets to Vietnam. Not in the way it did in the 60s and 70s. This time, Washington apparently wants to sell the weapons to Hanoi. Reports say a deal is in the works for America to sell a fleet of F-16 fighter jets to Vietnam. Now, of course, there are a few problems. First and foremost, F-16s are expensive. Vietnam may not be able to afford them. So lawmakers in Washington are chalking out financial options, special terms that will give Vietnam competitive rates and a long payment time frame. But there's no guarantee that this will work out. The deal is still in the early phase, but it signals intent. It shows that the US is prepared to replace Vietnam's traditional allies. President Biden visited the country earlier this month. He was in New Delhi for the G20 summit, and from here he flew to Hanoi. They signed some deals, and Vietnam upgraded its ties with the US. It now calls America a comprehensive strategic partner. That's the highest diplomatic level for Vietnam. Only a few other countries have this, including Russia and China. These are the allies that America now wants to replace. In fact, the F-16 deal could be aimed at Russia because Moscow is Hanoi's primary arms dealer. But the supply has dwindled off late. Russia has been busy in Ukraine. It doesn't have weapons to spare. And the US wants to make the most of this, to muscle into Moscow's turf. So an F-16 deal will not go down well with Russia. But Vietnam would be more worried about China, because Beijing has been watching these developments and fuming. It issued a warning during Biden's visit to Hanoi. Take a look at this.
China believes that the development of bilateral relations between countries should not target a third party. It should not jeopardize regional peace, stability, development, and prosperity.
China talking about regional peace is epic. The fact is, Vietnam is looking to buy American weapons because of the threat that China poses. Vietnam is already among the top 20 arms importers in the world, and that is because of China's aggression. Beijing bullies countries around the South China Sea. It claims almost the entire water body. But 5 other players have competing claims: Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Taiwan, and the Philippines. They have exclusive economic zones in these waters, and China denies them access. China has also occupied disputed islands and militarized some of them. So in the face of this Chinese buildup, Vietnam is turning to the US. And then the US has its own plans, including diversifying supply chains.
We're strengthening our supply chains, including through the new semiconductor memorandum of cooperation that we signed today. We're deepening our collaboration on critical technologies like cloud computing, telecommunications, and artificial intelligence, which we should watch very carefully, I might add again.
Biden spoke about working with Vietnam on critical technologies. Now, this includes the manufacturing of rare earth metals. These metals appear as silvery and soft. They're used to make electronics, lasers, magnets, magnetic material, and so on. Vietnam has an abundance of rare earth metals, but they've not been able to harness this wealth. Again, courtesy China. You see, China is a global leader in rare earths. It holds about 44% of the world's known deposits. And it has spent years building this monopoly. Whenever another country wants to explore its deposits, China manipulates prices. It sends the value of rare earth metals crashing down. And this makes it unprofitable for countries to invest in them. That's the reason why Vietnam's largest rare earth metal mine has been lying dormant for years. But that may change soon. The US and its allies have plans. They want to prop up Vietnam as a counter to China. Hanoi has floated bids for multiple blocks of its largest mine, and an Australian firm is reportedly interested in this. It's called Blackstone Minerals. It may invest about $100 million to secure mining rights. It will work in partnership with a Vietnamese firm, and that's just the first step. Beijing monopolizes not just the metal supply, but also its refining. China refines, and listen to this, China refines about 90% of the world's rare earth. That's right, 90%. Even the US sends rare earth to China for refining. Now, Vietnam wants to change that, and they plan to do it with some help from South Korea. The idea is to build a rare metal supply chain, one that is independent of China. And this move has Washington written all over it.